Mr. Jaitley's budget is clearly aimed at offsetting some of the disruption that demonetization caused, and he has identified key segments of the economy that might have been affected or hurt the most by demonetization. So he has picked out the rural sector, where his allocations to different programs have increased quite substantially. He has taken the problems of the small and medium enterprises that were also particularly hurt by demonetization into account, and he gives them a fairly generous tax break. And to people who pay their taxes and who were inconvenienced by this episode of demonetization, there are goodies in the form of a reduced tax rate on the lowest income slab and some benefits to even the higher income slabs. The highest income brackets, 50 to 1 crore, perhaps have reasons to complain because there is a surcharge which is being put on their incomes in order to offset the tax breaks that were given to the lower income categories. But in general, it is a consumption friendly budget. It is a budget that tries to get the mojo of the small and medium enterprises back, and it, instead of getting into new grand schemes, it attempts to allocate more to existing schemes, but with an eye to implementing them better. There are clearly disappointments. One of the expectations was that some form of an income transfer program would be introduced on a pilot basis. This hasn't happened. Yesterday's economic survey talked about the critical problem of the economy being the imbalance in the balance sheets of both companies as well as banks, and this is a nice way of referring to the bad loan problem. So one of the solutions suggested was a bad bank. That seemed extremely reasonable, but there is no mention of that in this. He has been fiscally prudent, and that for the common man would mean lower interest rates, since the government is not borrowing much from the market. And so a combination of income transfers in the form of tax breaks, lower interest rates, and some specific things for affordable housing makes this budget a good one for particularly lower income individuals in the lower tax categories and small and medium enterprises. There is also a huge push towards digitalisation. So it's for, if you are paying through any kind of a payment platform or your debit and credit cards, you will get incentives which the government will partly back up. And overall, for the common man, this is a good budget because it puts more money in his pockets, partly as a response to the demonetization disruption that was caused, and also because it transfers a considerable amount of money to people in the rural areas, which will have a spillover effect onto the semi-urban areas and so on. And there are specific schemes that should benefit the common man, which really increases in allocations to existing programs that were geared towards all sorts of areas like health, education, and so on. So it is, in a sense, an Aam Aadmi budget without too many pretensions, but with a clear idea to make the common man a little better off in financial terms. ठीक है, last one ना? This is, in a sense, a budget for the common man because it benefits both the tax-paying individual at the lower end of the income bands and also small businesses, which apparently cover 96% of India's corporate space. So they get benefits on the tax fronts, and also increased allocations to various schemes that have been in place would ultimately seep through to them. So it's a budget that clearly recognizes the problems that the common man faced during demonetization, that he has faced during this phase of sluggish growth and employment, and tries to give him whatever benefits are possible within the ambit of the fiscal space, given the constraints of consolidation, given the funding constraints that the finance minister faces. But clearly this is something that is meant to boost consumption by putting more money in the hands of the common man.